you can't be certain that your view is ever fully correct. It's probably not. I mean, mine's not. Like, I know that a lot of the things that I believe, they're subject to change because I'm subject to gathering more information. I'm in pursuit of the truth. I'm not in pursuit of reinforcing my own biases and hiding the truth from myself if it conflicts with that. Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Better Than Yesterday show. My name is Eric Riley, and as always, I'm going to be your host. And today I wanted to talk to you guys about a philosophy that has really helped me open up my mind to a vast range of perspective that I would have had my mind closed off to before I started to really implement this and think about this philosophy in the light that I'm going to portray it to you guys in. But before we get into that, I just want to ask, as always, if you enjoy this show, if it provides you any value, makes you think a certain way, please make sure to share it with a like-minded friend or on your social media platforms, because that is the only way I grow, and I want to spread this message to as many people as possible. So with that being said, if you enjoy the show, make sure to share it. Well, let's get right into it. So the perspective I want to talk to you guys about is from a book called That Will Never Work, and that's the book about Netflix. So it's written by Marc Randolph. He's one of the co-founders of Netflix, and basically takes you through the entire life cycle of Netflix. So, starts as an idea. I think they wanted to mail shampoo. I think that was the very first idea that they had with Netflix, and then obviously it progressed from there to this 150 million subscribers a month behemoth of a company that brings in billions of revenue a year. So the book's great. It has lots of stories and interesting, ways that they approach business and et cetera, et cetera. But the philosophy that I want to talk about that I read that has really stuck with me in that book, it's actually at the very end of the book, and he writes, I think it's 7 principles or 10 principles that his dad, instilled in him and always told him. And the one principle that I want to talk about, I think it's definitely at the top of the list. I don't know if it's number 1, but the principle that I want to talk about is be open-minded but skeptical. So this is something that I think a lot of people, they say they're open-minded, right? There's lots of people that will tell you that they hear the other perspective and they, have thought about it, but if you actually have a conversation with a lot of these people and you butt heads on an issue, you have conflicting opinions on something, you start to realize that a lot of people don't want to hear out views that oppose theirs. And I'm not just talking about politics or anything like that. There's a wide range of topics that if someone doesn't agree with you and they have a certain connotation towards the philosophy or the idea that you're trying to portray to them that they don't agree with, they will then discount the rest of your perspective because you are a bad person in that one area. So they don't fuck with you in the rest of the areas that you have to say, that you have to portray to them. And on top of that, they really should hear out the philosophy that goes against their own opinion, because it would serve them better, because then they would understand where the other side of the argument comes from, and when they are defending their position to you, that helps them reinforce why they think that way, right? Instead of just not hearing it out, saying, that's wrong, I'm going to stay in my bubble, and I'm not going to listen to anything that conflicts with me. So that is here's an example, is I always used to think to be successful and to be rich, millionaire, you got to live the millionaire lifestyle, you know what I mean? You got to make a bunch of money and you got to buy the nice cars, have the nice house, etc. And I read this book called Millionaire Next Door, and it basically completely debunks that. It's most millionaires don't make a shitload of money. They don't bring in hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. They bring in a modest salary. They save their money, and they're financially literate, and they invest their money. And it gives you statistics to back that up, verifiable statistics. And I was wow, it's not like the movies. Like, it's not like these millionaires are out driving Lamborghinis and, doing all this shit. And on top of that, most millionaires don't have hundreds of millions of dollars. They have like $1 to $5 million. Like 95% of millionaires have like under $10 million, which is, totally fine. But it completely goes against how, my perspective before that. And I was open-minded enough to, accept that and understand that. And that's one example of a million, right? So like another thing that I try to do is I really try to listen out and hear out conflicting viewpoints of my own. Like, you have to understand that in order to solidify and reinforce your own view, there's two ways to go about that. One is you literally just show yourself a bunch of shit that confirms your own bias, right? So like social media will literally put shit that you want to see in front of you all the time because their business model is to keep you there as long as possible. So if you think a certain way and the algorithm can work that out, which it can, by the way, like it will work that out pretty fast. If you think a certain way, it's going to show you the things that you want to see. And that is going to confirm and reinforce your own biases. That, in my opinion, is not really good because you're not hearing the other side of the argument. And I'm not saying the other side is right or you have to agree with it, but be skeptical about your own view. Be open-minded about the other side. So I actually want to get into this real quick, just quick sidebar. So I was having a conversation with my friend Mackenzie like a week ago or two, and we were going off about how just politics fucking sucks right now. Like literally just, and this isn't a shot at Democrats or Republicans. Like it's both equally terrible. We were literally talking about just how it's terrible how solidified people have been in the past, 5 years, 5-6 years, just how anti hearing people out other people are now. Like people think, like have their belief and they will not hear otherwise whatsoever. And she was, we were talking about how, it's gotten really polarized lately and it's terrible because social media amplifies the shit out of this because of the reasons I just told you, right? They're just going to show you what you want to see. And if you, the further you are one side or another, it's going to know that and it's going to show you more and more stuff the further you lean left or right or whatever. And I got to the point where I was talking to her where I was basically incredibly skeptical about my own view. And what I said to her, and I was like, at least if you're self-aware enough to realize that this, like not self-aware enough, but just aware enough to realize that this happens, then you should understand that it's happening to you too. Like social media is showing you things that you want to see and it's reinforcing your beliefs. And if you have a strong political belief, it's going to show you political content that reinforces that belief. So then I got to the point where I was talking to her and I was like, we all know that this happens to us on a daily basis. Like there are forces that are trying to make us think a certain way that may not necessarily be presenting us with straight facts. It may be presenting us with biased information one way or another. And basically what I'm getting at is how do you know that your view is right? Like how can you even trust your own view when you know that all of us have been manipulated so much by the media that's out there? How can you actually trust what you believe to, it's like you didn't get to that point by yourself. There's been millions of different influences on the way you think, and a lot of them are specifically targeted to make you think the way you already think. So it's like, if I never started thinking that way, would I still think that way? Probably not, right? And that's what I'm getting at is like, there's so much information out there nowadays on the internet. Like if you go on Google and you search any number of topics, it's going to show you what it thinks you want to see. It is not going to show you the pure facts. And that is a problem Because a lot of people, when they go on Google and look up, information, they look for information, they want the facts. They are like purely and genuinely in pursuit of the truth. But the algorithm won't just show you the truth. It doesn't work like that. It takes your question or your search and says, okay, well, what does this person want to see? Like, what is gonna keep them on our platform longer? And that's not necessarily always the truth. It's just information that reinforces your bias a lot of the time. So start being more that's the thing. Is like start being more skeptical of your own perspective. There are so many people out there that have been through different experiences, have different ways of looking at the world, and it would serve you really well to actually hear them out and listen to what they have to say, because you can't be certain that your view is ever fully correct. It's probably not. I mean, mine's not. Like, I know that a lot of the things that I believe, they're subject to change because I'm subject to getting more information, to gathering more information. I'm in pursuit of the truth. I'm not in pursuit of reinforcing my own biases and hiding the truth from myself if it conflicts with that. So I think there really is two types of people. There's people that want to shut themselves out from anything that speaks badly about their perspective or conflicts with their view. And then there's people that want the truth. There's people that are genuinely concerned about, what is the way that I should be thinking? What is the correct way to think? And I don't know if there's necessarily a definitive answer to that, but the genuine, search for the truth, in my opinion, is always going to win out over trying to confirm your own biases. So that's all I got for you guys today. Just remember, be open-minded, right? Listen, hear out people, but be skeptical. Just because what you're hearing, someone's telling you something, does not mean it's true. But in the same sense, also be skeptical about yourself. Be skeptical about your own views, because your own views aren't always going to be true. There's new information out there that should influence your view. When new things come out, new information, new findings come out, you can't just discount that because it disagrees with your opinion. That's not how this should work. You should be constantly trying to figure out the truth about this fucking crazy thing called life. So that's all I got for you guys today. Have an awesome week, and I will talk to you all next week. See you later.